everyone, and welcome back to Ursula's Farmhouse Kitchen. If you've never seen my videos before, I hope that you enjoy them. I'm usually in the kitchen cooking my favorite foods, and a lot of times I'm baking sourdough bread and other items. Today I'm going to be making a cake, and I'm going to also dedicate this video to my amazing, wonderful, beautiful, sweet, generous, and loving grandmother, my Nanny Kelley. And her given name was Lillian Pope Kelley. She married my granddaddy, Robert Lee Kelley, many years ago. And they are enjoying their glory days now up in heaven, where I hope to see them whenever it's my turn. So today I dedicate this video to you, Nanny. And I just want y'all to know that I loved growing up next to her house. My grandparents always lived next door to my house, and my sister Kim and I spent lots of time at Nanny's house, and we helped her in the kitchen. So I really attribute my love for cooking to my Nanny Kelley today. And one very sweet memory is, every weekend she would always be making food to take to her church family. She was a Primitive Baptist, and they went to a different church every Sunday. They had, I believe, 4 major churches. So every Sunday it would be one of her family churches that she went to, because they would rotate around to 4 churches. But every Saturday night and Sunday morning, she would cook as much food as she possibly could, because she would always take enough for 2 or 3 families to have. And that always included fried chicken, usually okra, butter beans, peas, cream corn, and always a big chocolate layer cake. So she always shared with us her recipes, and I've got many of them written down. Today I'm going to show you her favorite cake mix was always Duncan Hines, and she always said, get the butter golden recipe, Ursula. So I'm going to do, on the box it only has 2 layers. I'm going to make her original 4-layer yellow cake. And then I'll show you how to make Nanny Kelley's wonderful fudge chocolate icing. And that will be, on this video, but it will be a little later on as I'm cooking. So today I would like to also show you an awesome cookbook that I use sometimes when I'm making cakes, when I'm baking. This is called The Cake Doctor, and my mother-in-law Sylvia Acridge gave it to me a long time ago. I don't even remember when it was. It was so long ago, but this is The Cake Doctor. So I'll be kind of doctoring up this Duncan Hines cake mix today with this. And I'm going to be going by this recipe, Mom's Layer Cake with fluffy chocolate frosting. I will not be using this frosting recipe. I'll be using Nanny Kelley's recipe. But I'm going to show you how to doctor up a cake mix by using this. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put our oven on 350. And we're going to go ahead, and I've already opened the cake mix. So I'm going to use my stand-up KitchenAid mixer today. That's what I love to use, sometimes to make things easier for me. And here we go. We're going to dump in the cake mix. And the next thing is we're going to add in 1 cup of whole milk. Now the recipe in the Cake Doctor calls for whole milk. I'm going to be using reduced fat milk. So you can really use reduced fat, and this is 2%. So that's fine if you want to use 2%. 1 cup of 2% milk. I'm just going to go ahead and dump everything in first. And the next ingredient is 1 stick of real butter. I did use salted because that's what I normally buy. It doesn't matter if you use salted or unsalted. It's fine. Make sure you get all that butter out. I did microwave it for about 35 or 40 seconds to get it nice and melted, because you don't want it to be cold butter. Okay, the next ingredient is vanilla flavoring, and we're going to use 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. So make sure you get pure vanilla, not just vanilla flavoring. Okay, and I'll use 2 teaspoons. 1. That's 2. That makes it extra flavorful. And the next ingredient is 3 large eggs. Now I'm using farm fresh eggs today. These are from my son's girlfriend, Melanie. Thank you so much, Melanie, for sharing your dad's eggs from his farm. And these are gorgeous eggs. I'm going to show you another picture on this video where his eggs are all different colors. Mr. George has some amazing chickens. He really does. He's got chickens that lay brown eggs, they lay white eggs, they lay bluish eggs and greenish eggs, and they are gorgeous. And these are farm fresh eggs that have already been washed. So the recipe calls for 3 large. I'm going to use 4 small because these are pretty small. But we'll use the yolk and the white. I've always heard that if you use farm fresh eggs, that they are really richer than regular chicken eggs. So I'm hoping that it will be a really nice, rich cake. I know it will because we've even been making scrambled eggs with these eggs, and they are delicious. So if y'all ever have a chance to get farm fresh eggs, do it. They are wonderful. All right, I'm just going to use a whisk and whisk those right up. They look really rich. Look how beautiful and dark yellow those are. Really pretty. All right, we're going to put the 4 eggs in. Okay. Let's see if I've got everything. All right, so again, we did our Duncan Hines butter golden recipe. We did the whole package of that. We did 1 cup of milk. We did 8 tablespoons of butter that was melted. And we did 3 large eggs or 4 small eggs and 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. So now I'm going to go ahead and whip this up. And I'm going to use these nice cake pans. I'm trying to see the name brand of these. It says Chicago Metallic. I believe I got these at Publix several years ago. They are really nice, heavy Teflon pans. And I have sprayed them with Pam Baking. And it has flour in it, so you don't have to use the butter and flour mixture together, but you can just use this. I love it because it's perfect release. So I've already sprayed 4 of these pans. And my oven is on 350 degrees. Okay, I'm going to scrape down the sides of the pan, the bowl, the mixing bowl. You want to get everything incorporated. One more mix and then we'll be good to go, and I'll pour the batter into the cake pans. It says after you scrape down the sides of the pan to beat it on medium for 2 minutes. Okay. And this is the consistency of your cake batter. It looks like lemon, but it's a butter golden recipe. Now, let me have my spoon close by. I'm going to start dividing up my batter evenly into the pan. So I'm going to do that now. And then I'll shake them around and make sure that they are really nice and even. And it's kind of hard dividing it up into 4 cake pans. I don't bake cakes a lot. I only bake them just a few times a year, really. And I normally do pound cakes more than layer cakes because pound cakes are easy. Okay. I'm going to show you there's not a lot of cake batter in there. So they're going to be thin layers because I want there to be 4 layers instead of on the cake mix there's only 2, but I'm making this into 4 like Nanny Kelley always did. And I hope that she is watching me from heaven right now as I'm making this video. I just feel like the love that I have for cooking comes from Nanny. It also comes from my other grandmother, Mary Lou Pollock. I had 2 of the most wonderful grandmothers that any child could have ever asked for. They were always in the kitchen, always cooking. And I'm telling you, having wonderful memories of your grandmother is a treasure. So I'm just going to continue evening out my layers. And these are thin layers, like I said. But this is just going to be a 4-layer cake with 1 cake mix. And really and truly, instead of using the ingredients on the back, everything is the same except for, because it says 3 large eggs and 7 tablespoons of melted butter. Well, there are 8 tablespoons of butter in a stick of butter. So you're going to use a full stick of butter. Instead of 7 tablespoons, it will be 8. And you're going to use 3 large eggs or 4 small eggs. And instead of the water, the only thing that's different is I added, instead of water, I had 1 cup of milk. So the milk will definitely make it a richer cake. And as we know, vanilla flavoring is a perk too when you're baking. You need vanilla extract. And it needs to be the true vanilla. So I'm still evening out my cake layers. And then I'll pop them in the oven. Let's see if I have a little bit more. I do have a little bit more. So I'm going to look at my thinnest layers and add a little bit more. And what I like to do is just kind of shake it around so that it gets very even. You don't want it to be, hilly or bumpy or anything. You want it to be very smooth layers. All right, they're all even. And I'm going to try to go ahead and cook all 4 of my layers in the oven at the same time. What I'll probably do is rotate them halfway through. So this is how I've got them positioned in the oven right now. I've got all 4 in the oven baking. Well, hey, and welcome back. I just want to show you how to take the cake layers out of the pans carefully. I've already taken out 2 layers. And I only cooked the layers for 22 minutes on 350 degrees. So see, they're nice and thin. They're not too thick and they're not too thin. But I've already taken out 2 layers and I'm going to show you how to safely take them out. I let the pans cool just for a few minutes and then I go ahead and dump them out onto parchment. And you have to be gentle with them. Put one hand here to support it and then just lean it over and gravity will just make it fall out. All right, and here's the last one. And you're just gonna put some support under it with your whole hand and gently, gently let it fall out onto the paper. So that's my 4 layers. And I think it's going really well. Everything is going so smoothly this morning. So I'm so glad. Now I'm going to show you how to make the frosting, the fudge chocolate frosting that my grandmother, Nanny Kelley, always made. And here was the recipe that I had written down years ago when I first got married, because I had called her and asked her, how do you make your frosting? And she said 2/3 of milk and 2 cups of sugar and 1/2 cup of cocoa and 1 stick of margarine and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Over the years, I have stopped buying margarine, so I will tell you I only use butter. So I am using salted butter because that's really all I buy. But you can buy unsalted if you'd like to for this recipe. So I'm using 1 stick of real butter. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, which is the real vanilla. I'm going to use 1/2 cup of cocoa, and I always use Hershey's. That's just a staple. We've always used Hershey's at our house. And then I'm going to use 2 cups of sugar, and I purchased this sugar from Thrive, but you can use any kind of granulated sugar that you want. This actually is organic, so I'll see if it tastes better. I don't know. It's probably going to be the same. And then instead of using regular milk, my grandmother always used Carnation evaporated milk, and it makes it creamier than putting cow's milk, so or regular milk, the refrigerated kind. It doesn't come out nearly as creamy as the Carnation. So we're going to use that, and then we're going to start with the milk, and then we're going to add the sugar and the cocoa, and it says to cook for 4 minutes. After it boils, you start timing it, and it will be 4 minutes, and you're cooking it on a medium heat. Then we'll add in our stick of butter, and then we'll add in our vanilla, and we'll cook it on low for 15 minutes. And it also says to do a little test in a cold glass of water, see if 1 little drop of the chocolate frosting turns into a ball. So that was Nanny Kelley's favorite little cook test for her frosting. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out my pot now, and I'll show you the steps. Hey, so moving on to the frosting now. My Nanny Kelley's chocolate frosting recipe. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead and start with our milk. And again, this is Carnation evaporated milk. You can get the store brand if you like. It's probably the very same. It's just less expensive. So we're going to start with the milk, and it is 2/3 cup. And I've got my saucepan on medium. Actually, it's medium low instead of medium high. I don't want it to scorch. And so I'm starting with milk, and next I'll add, this is just 1 cup of sugar, but I'm going to have to add 1 more cup. And I'm using Thrive, but you can use whatever granulated sugar you like, just cane sugar. Probably going to take the rest of this. Okay. So there's exactly 2 cups in this. I'll have to get some more sugar. And then after we add the milk and the sugar to the saucepan, we're going to add the cocoa. And this is 1/2 cup of cocoa. And like I said earlier, I'm using Hershey's cocoa. It's just what my Nanny Kelley always used. And I want to continue that tradition. And we're going to stir. And again, I've got it on medium low. I've got it on number 4 if you've got numbers on your stove. This is very, very sweet, so it's going to be a very rich icing. And we're going to let it cook for 4 minutes. And we don't start timing it until after it comes to a slow boil. So I remember Nanny always stirring hers the whole time it was cooking. So I'm gonna be stirring it so it'll be nice and creamy. So this is what the frosting looks like. before you add the butter. All right, that's stirred in really good. I'm going to go ahead and unwrap my butter. I'm using salted butter, but you're welcome to use unsalted butter. And you don't have to melt this in the microwave. You can just drop it in to your saucepan at the right time. We're going to let it come to a slow boil, and then I'll start timing it, and we'll cook it for 4 minutes. And then I will add my stick of butter. And then I'll finally add the 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and I'll cook it on low for 15 minutes. I'm going to turn it up just a tap. Now I've got it between 4 and 6 on my stovetop. Continue to stir. It's taking its time coming to a slow boil. We have to be patient. My big sister Kim gave me this wonderful, gorgeous, beautiful cake stand. And this is by Hearth and Hand. So this is a Chip and Joanna Gaines brand. It's called Hearth and Hand. And it's a amazing wood. It's made out of magnolia wood is what it says. So anyway, they gave me this, I believe, a year or two ago. And we just love giving each other things that we treasure. So thank you, Kim, for this beautiful cake stand by Hearth and Home. I love the base of it. It's just beautiful carving. And that's going to be the cake stand that I use for this sweet, sweet chocolate layer cake today. All right, I'm going to show you what the icing looks like. Okay, so see it's starting to come to a slow boil. Now we can set the timer on 4 minutes. Okay, I've got my timer set on 4 minutes. And that is just beautiful icing. I'm going to turn it down on low. We're going to also put in our 1 stick of butter now since it's boiling. And it's going to make the icing start bubbling more since the butter is in there. I love how it looks when it melts, the butter. And I'll keep stirring because that's what my nanny always did. And she always told me that it would scorch, and my mother also told me that. My grandmother's been passed for several years now. My oldest son was maybe 3 or 4 years old when my grandmother Kelley passed, and so I have to always ask my mother, how did Nanny Kelley do this? Can you give me a little refresher course, Mama? So I go, and I ask my mom all these questions now because Nanny is with Jesus now. So we just have to always remember how she did everything. So I'm sure that's what you do with your heirloom recipes from your grandparents. We need to always remember our roots and remember where we came from. Remember all the wonderful things that our grandmothers taught us. And don't forget those heirloom recipes. Keep them going. Keep them going for your children and their children and their children. Okay, we've got it still 2 more minutes left. And then we'll add in our vanilla flavoring. It's true vanilla extract. And then I'll let it cook for 15 more minutes on low. Okay, I've got it all the way on low now. And we've got 1 more minute on our timer, and then we'll add the vanilla flavoring. Okay, I'm adding the vanilla flavoring now, and I'll continue stirring. Now we'll set the timer again for 15 minutes. And again, the saucepan is on low. The vanilla flavoring has been added as directed. And I've been stirring continuously because I do not want this precious icing to scorch on the bottom of my pot. We don't want to lose any of this wonderful icing. And I will show you these beautiful cake layers. We have 4 thin layers, and I tried to do them exactly as my Nanny Kelley would have. I will show you a beautiful present that my sister Kim gave me this week. She also gave me the cake stand that I showed you, but Kim gave me this beautiful kitchen towel for my kitchen, and it's beautiful blue hydrangeas. I just love that. And she had given me this cake stand probably a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. But I am going to enjoy having my cake plate sitting on that, and I'll put a big dome over that when everything is finished. I also want to show you something else that Kim gave me this week. Let me show you. Look at this gorgeous cloche that my sister gave me. She knows that I have been looking and looking for a couple of years probably for a huge cloche. In her house, she has it decorated with probably 5 or 6 different sizes of cloches. And every time I go to Kim's house, I tell her, I'm like, Kim, where did you get these wonderful cloches? I just love her house, and I'm always trying to emulate what her house looks like and bring her house into my house. And we try to somehow I try to copy her, because I don't have really good decorating skills, but my sister does, and I'm always trying to do things like her. I did get this beautiful little pear at Home Goods a few days ago, and I wanted to add that to my collection. I had gotten this at I had gotten that mason jar. I believe I got it at Hobby Lobby a month or so ago. But I think it goes really well with the cloche. I just love it. So pretty. And it is by Mud Pie, which is a top brand. Thank you so much, Kim, for my birthday present. You made turning 56 not so bad after all. And it goes with my little farmhouse lamp that I got from Hobby Lobby a few months ago. And I love my little love window and my little dachshund. I still love him. Okay, so now I'm just continuing to stir the icing. We don't want it to scorch or burn on the bottom of the pot. We still have 11 minutes to go. It has to cook on low for 15 minutes after you add your vanilla flavoring. I am giving it little breaks between stirs, but I've been stirring it a lot, as you can see. Don't forget to put your vanilla back in the fridge. I think I'm going to select this platter to put my cake on. And I'll lower the camera so you can see. The icing still has to cook 8 minutes before I start actually icing the cake. And I will need to do a little test to make sure that in a cool glass of water. So I'll get my water ready, my cold water ready. Okay, I'm going to put my first layer onto the cake stand. I hope that this cake is going to be as tasty as my grandmother's always was. I've made several cakes in the last 34 years since Bob and I have been married, and I've made a lot of pound cakes, but I've also made a good many chocolate cakes. And one reason I wanted to make this cake today is celebrating mine and Bob's birthdays. My birthday was Monday of this week. It's already passed several days. We've had a crazy busy week, and between all of our business that we do with home renovation, we just had a really busy week. And I went and visited my parents. My mother hasn't been feeling well, and I wanted to go and visit her and help her out. So I went and spent the night with her, and we just had a lot going on this week. But we were able to see my children, and we went to Longhorn and celebrated our birthdays Tuesday night this week. And I ordered a nice Flo's filet with a lobster tail, and I had some amazing Brussels sprouts that were seasoned just right, and also had a loaded baked potato. So I really splurged that night. I had a really good supper, and everybody enjoyed their steak. So I love Longhorn Steakhouses. It's so delicious. Okay, we're still waiting. We have about 4 more minutes on this heirloom frosting that I'm making in honor or in memory of my grandmother, my Nanny Kelley. And then I'm going to let that cool about 5 minutes when I take it off the heat. And we don't want it to be too hot on our layers because it would just soak right through if it was too hot. And it would run off the pretty plate and the cake stand. We don't want that to happen. So I'm going to let this finish cooking. And when I start frosting it, I'll start the video again. Okay, I have my cold water ready, and I have my frosting that's been cooking for a good while on the stove. So I'm just going to put a little drop and see if it will form into a ball in the water. And that will let me know if it's ready. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it is staying together. It's staying together in a solid little blob. So I'm going to say that that has passed the little ball test. And I'm going to move over my icing close to my cake pan, my cake plate. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of my icing on. I think I'm going to use a measuring cup to pour it in. Let me put my phone back over here. Okay, I've poured a little bit of icing into this little measuring cup, and I'm going to go ahead and start now. This is the scary part. So here we go. And I'm going to use this knife. I'm not exactly sure what you call it, but it's a knife that was given to me by my mother-in-law years ago, and it helps you to level out your icing like this. Okay, so I need to add some more icing. I didn't want to do too much because I don't want to waste the icing since I have 4 layers. So I'm just doing a little bit at a time. And we'll smooth it out. Several of my friends are cake. They bake cakes and they sell them. But I have never sold any of the things that I've cooked. I just strictly do this as a hobby. But I'm sure that they probably would have some tips to give me on this. I'm not sure how good I'm doing, but I will try my best for y'all. Okay. Got to add some more. But there is something I want you to know. You can't take a lot of time with this hot fudge icing because it will start to crystallize on you and it will turn to sugar quickly. So you have to get it spread pretty fast because it will start turning and crystallizing. And right now we're not going to worry about the edges of the cake, just the top of the cake layer. Okay, that's one layer. I'm going to go ahead and grab another one. We might want to put a little bit more icing though. Hold on. I want it to be a little bit thicker than that. It's going to be so pretty on this cake stand that Pam gave me. That is so smooth and pretty. All right, let's grab the second layer. And you have to gently take off the parchment so that it won't rip the top of your cake. Okay, and we'll just add some more icing. When you do hot fudge icing, the layers do tend to slip and slide, so you do have to try to keep them stabilized. You don't want a lopsided cake by no means. And we'll use this level knife. Be very careful. And I will tell you, my Nanny Kelley is the one that made my groom's cake almost 35 years ago. December 2nd will be 35 years ago since I've been married to Bob. And my Nanny made me a beautiful, well, she made it for Bob, a groom's cake. And it was a rectangular cake. And she put grapes and other fruit on top. And it turned out so good. I mean, it was just as good as the bride's cake, I'm telling you. I mean, who doesn't love chocolate cake, right? I will never forget that Green's cake. It's so nice. And my bride's cake was made by Mrs. Linda. And I just love that cake too, Miss Linda. I'll never forget you making that for me. Hey guys, my microphone lost its power, so I'm just going to play a song for the rest of the video, and I hope y'all enjoy.
Just close your
Hey, look at these beautiful fresh farm eggs that I got today from my friend Melanie. Her dad raises chickens at his house and he gets different colors of eggs every day from his chicken coop. And I'm just telling you, those are beautiful. I can't wait to use them in my cooking. Yeah, fresh farm eggs.